Welcome to the Frame Your Way Photography Podcast. I'm your host, Brooke Jefferson. I'm a wife, mama to two, and full-time photographer and business coach. I created this podcast with the aspiring photographer in mind to bring you inspiring stories, strategies to help you go from zero to multiple figures, and tips and tricks to help you get one step closer to work-life harmony. Are you ready to frame your way to your dream career? Let's dive in. Today I am interviewing Heather of Heather Buckley Photography, and we are chatting all things motherhood, photography, and senior photography. You're going to hear Heather's journey, how she got started, where she's at today, and a little bit of some exciting news for her family. I can't wait for you to check this out. There's so much goodness, and I hope you walk away feeling inspired and ready to take on the world with your photography. All right, Heather, I'm so happy that you are on the show today. Can you introduce yourself to my listeners?
Yeah, so I am, Heather Buckley Photography, but I'm really Heather Askins, which people kind of get confused because my maiden name is Buckley. But I'm just a photographer in North Texas, and I live with my firefighter husband, and we have a little baby on the way. That's pretty much me.
That's so exciting. So I met you, well, first of all, online like everybody else.
Right, yeah.
In person, we met at the Oklahoma Photography Summit last December. Is that right?
Yeah, that was so fun.
It was
a long trek for me, but it was so fun.
Yeah, it was such a good day. What was your biggest takeaway from the summit? Do you have one?
Meeting Haley. Like I felt like I was so starstruck when I saw her, which is so silly. Because then once I met her, I'm like, you're just the coolest person ever. Because when you follow someone on social media, you have this in your head, like they're this like superstar with this huge following and she's so talented. I'm like, she's not going to talk to me. Like I'm practically a nobody, but it was so cool meeting her and just listening to her and learning from her. And I'm not even a family photographer. I thought it was so cool.
She is my favorite. And for those of you who are like, who's Haley? It's Haley Faria. I've mentioned her. I went to her workshop. There's a podcast, I don't know, however many back that I kind of talked about. When I went to her workshop, I like pivoted and knew exactly like families was my thing from here on out into eternity. Like that was my sweet spot. So anyway, yeah, Haley was amazing. I'm super excited for this summit and I can't wait to go again. And then we may or may not see you at this one because you're going to have a baby girl.
I know, I'm so bummed, but we'll see.
We'll see. By then,
yeah,
you may be able to get away for 24 hours. We'll see.
Right.
Okay, so I want you to take me back and kind of tell me how photography ever became a thing for you. Has it been something like your whole life you had a camera in your hand, or did it just happen all of a sudden? I love hearing people's stories, so tell me yours.
Mine starts way back. When ever since I can remember, my mom had really nice cameras because I played sports growing up. And so when I kind of got my hands on her camera, I just would take pictures of everything. Because I lived out in the country in California. So I just kind of played around with it. And then photography really started for me in high school in 2010. A lot of my friends didn't really take senior pictures. And so I was like, oh, shoot, I think I'm pretty dang good with the camera. I'll try. And so I took a few of their senior pictures. I'm like, shoot, I really like this. And so when it came down to trying to pick a college, I'm like, well, I don't know what I'm going to do because I'm horrible at everything. I'm horrible at math, science. I like to read, but I don't like talking in front of big groups. I'm like, I don't want to be a teacher. So my mom was the one who kind of pushed me. She's like, well, you're pretty good at photography. Like, just go do that. I didn't know that was even an option. So I went with it. I found a college in Northern California and I studied photography and studio art, and then somehow came to Texas and have been here since 2014 after I graduated. And then I kind of was always straight into portraits. I really liked portraits and that's all I shot in college. But when I moved to Texas, I started working for a wedding photographer and that's all we did was weddings. So it was a whole different ball game. And I learned a ton from him. he went into the venue business. So I kind of decided to jump out on my own and start working, which did not go the way you would think it would. And so I did a free internship with a really well-known senior photographer kind of group in Dallas. And then I was like, I love seniors. Like, this is my jam. And then once my little 6-month internship was up, I was like, all right, Heather Buckley photography is a thing, and let's do it. And now it's kind of where I am now. So it's been a long time coming.
Yeah, that's so incredible to hear. I actually had no idea that you had worked for a photographer or photographers, I guess, because that's how you ended up.
Yeah, 2 now.
That's so neat. I love that. So do you think that played a huge impact in how you run your business today? Like, did you learn by seeing what they were doing? Were there things you saw that you were like, I'm not doing that, or that is such a good idea, I'm so doing that? Tell us about that.
Both ways for sure. I think when I was working with the wedding photographer, he kind of just threw me into weddings, and that kind of made me hate weddings for a little bit. So I never wanted to do them again. But it really got me to work with clients and to see how those wedding days are and to deal with difficult clients. Because when you are thrown into weddings right off the bat, you're dealing with the moms, the brides, the bridesmaids, like everything. And so working with clients, that was a huge difference. And he kind of threw me into being a main editor right after that, which I wasn't really expecting, but it really taught me Lightroom and Photoshop and how he delivers images and everything, and kind of print products. And then when I was working for the other senior photographer, it just kind of really showed me the senior side of things and more of like the client management systems and being really organized. And so I've learned a lot, and I've learned kind of what not to do and kind of what I wanted to do, because I don't like in-person sales, and that's what the main thing for this one senior photographer was. So I was like, you know what? I just don't want to do it. It's a lot of work. I live out in the boonies. No one's going to want to drive to me. I don't want to drive all the way to them. So yeah, I learned a lot.
Yeah, I think that's gold right there. I think if I could go back, that would have been really fun. I don't know that I would have had anyone necessarily in my area. Not saying there weren't. There probably could have been. I just didn't seek anyone out, like to even do like a mentorship with, because I mean, I'll be honest, like looking back, I don't even think that technically was a thing unless you were.
It wasn't. I was just going to say that.
It wasn't a thing.
It really wasn't.
And then now, I think it's so cool how it's evolving, and people are like, no, let me help you. And like, it's another stream of income for people to be able to come get that one-on-one mentorship with somebody. And first of all, I think we're starting to figure out this whole community over competition thing for real. It's not just that tag, it's a way of life. I'm very particular about who I even interview on the podcast, because if I'm going to tell them to go follow you and be able to like have that contact with you, like I want people who are actually going to be like genuine, like not just, I'm not giving so
exactly. I feel like when I first moved to Texas, or even North Texas and Dallas, it was very hard to find that community, especially with women. It was really hard because I think having someone new come in, it was just so intimidating for other people that they just really didn't want to help. They didn't want to share anything. And so when I got the internship, it was pretty much a mentorship. Like, they were so open. They're the sweetest girls. And they kind of had the same story I did, moving to Texas from California. And it was just really cool to connect with them. And I still see them when I go out and shoot. So it's really fun. And one's moving up close to me. And so when I look back, I'm like, I don't understand why. Like, why is that so hard to have a community and to help each other? And so it's cool that now it's a thing, that mentorships is a thing. Just find that photographer you look up to and just ask to learn from them.
Yeah, and sometimes you can't just wait for the offer to come. The offer may never come. You just might have to ask and see what they say. And
you literally just have to go and ask.
Yeah, and I did put myself out there, and I asked a photographer So we live, just to back this up, we live in an area where we have a lot of military bases that are like close, within an hour or so's drive from us. And so you'll get a lot of military wives that have photography businesses, and they'll come in, and some of them are phenomenal, and they just get to go everywhere. I mean, Haley's military too. And so we had, we had the awesome privilege of having her in Oklahoma for so long. And there was a woman that was here, and she actually was willing to give me a mentorship, and it actually fell on me because the day she was doing 3 sessions back to back, they were her last ones in Oklahoma before they relocated to Hawaii. But I ended up not being able to because I had already scheduled another client. And I just knew, like, what would I want my photographer to do in that situation? I wouldn't want them to cancel on me, like to go to something else. And so I just kept my client appointment and ended up missing it. But that was the closest to community or mentorship that someone was willing to do for me, because everybody else, I felt like kept their distance, if that makes sense. So.
Yeah. Well, the new thing was that I had never seen was workshops. Like the Oklahoma Summit and even stuff that Haley puts on, so many people do massive workshops, and they're open to having a big group of photographers come and learn from them and then learn from each other. And that's huge. I loved being able to go and meet so many different photographers, not only just women. There was Trent, the one guy that was there. And it was just, it's so fun to be able to connect and just meet everybody.
Yes, I loved that he came. I just thought that was so cool. First of all, I just wanted to applaud every photographer that came and took advantage of that, because like you just said, I don't think people realize like the massive value of workshops and the fact that we're lucky enough to have them around us, because like I said, like this is a new thing. This was not a thing a few years ago. Like it just wasn't. And now, you've got a lot of people. In fact, I'm hosting my first styled shoot next month, and I've never done that before. I think it's because I've been sitting around waiting for somebody else to take the initiative. And then it dawned on me like last week, well, why don't you take the initiative? And I'm like, I will. So I feel like my big tip for everybody about this community over competition thing is, if you don't have it, start it. Be the one to initiate it, because someone is waiting for you to do it, I promise.
Exactly. And it's so nice to be able to have not even women, just photographers in general, that you can just go to a coffee shop and edit with and just kind of hang out with. And it's so fun just kind of talking and hanging out. You still learn so much from each other.
Yeah. And it definitely like boosts your confidence. I've never like walked into something like that and walked out feeling defeated. I actually walk out feeling empowered, and like a new like light has come on, and I'm like ready to go out there and photograph as much as I can after that. So yeah, they're invaluable. Love all of that community that we have. So I'm curious, what is it about senior photography that draws you in so much? Because I will tell you, in all honesty, it is the last thing I would niche myself in. And it's not because like I'm not capable and I don't love people. I just feel like you have to be freaking skilled to do senior photography. Like, I don't know. Like, there's just a special talent you have to have. I don't have it. So I'm curious to hear what you have to say.
Oh gosh, that's hilarious. I don't know. I love that one-on-one connection that you can get with the girls. I mean, I shoot mainly girls. I'll probably have, 10 boys in 1 year, and it's the guys hate it. So I just try to make it as fun as possible. But when it comes down to seniors, I love it so much because I still feel their age. I'm not their age, but I still feel it like in my soul that I'm still in high school, and it's just so fun. And I think it kind of reminds me back when I was in a sorority, just having little sisters and that sense of just sisterhood and really connecting with other young women and kind of trying to be a role model at least. And it's just so fun. I love it.
I love that. So I think it's the posing that throws me for a loop, because for me, I'm very lifestyle, I'm candid. And when I have families, I don't have to do a whole lot of posing necessarily, like bend your knee here, or, whatever. lean in closer. I mean, that's literally all you're going to hear me say, because when you have the kids roll out, kids pose themselves, and you just don't have to do that much. But when I see, senior photography, there are some creative angles you guys get. So is this something that you learned, practiced? Does it just come natural to you? I'm just curious.
I think a little bit of everything. A lot of kind of research and just seeing what I like on, Pinterest or other people's accounts. And then when I try to put it into my own work, I just kind of change and tweak things and just how I see it in camera and how I like it. So it just kind of comes naturally. I don't know. When it comes to families, oh Lord, I don't know how y'all do it. I like to have that one person and pose that one person.
That's a good point. I've never thought about that. I just think I'm drawn to chaos and I love it. So there's that. But I didn't think about it like that. This is why I love photographers, because we all have our thing, our lane, our thing we love to do. And it's kind of like nurses. We went to Las Vegas a couple weeks ago, and we had 2 nurses come over, and I was telling them that my sister just graduated and she's an RN and she's in labor and delivery, and they both gave me like the most disgusting look and were like, no, like that is disgusting. Like I was gagging in someone's birth video in the background, and like they do like cardiac heart stuff. And it's just funny because it's like no matter what you do, everybody has their.
Oh gosh, yeah. Yep.
Yeah. So that's a plus, like for everybody. And I feel like I could learn a lot of things from you and the things you know about senior photography, whether that's technical things or poses or whatever, and I can implement that into my business. And that's like my favorite thing, that just because we don't shoot the same thing doesn't mean I can't learn from you.
Yeah, you can take away just any little thing from another photographer and be like, wow, I can use that this way for me and it'll work. And we're like, oh, I've never thought of that. I'm going to use that or try to use something like that. And so
yeah,
that's why I loved learning from Haley, because I really don't shoot families, and my families would not turn out like that. So I still took away so much from her.
So one thing she touched on that's, just evolved so much my business, it just changed everything, was the styling portion. So I'm going to assume you took some styling tips away. So tell me how you implement that into senior photography.
So when my seniors book with me, I have a full-on style guide for them. I go over everything from hair and makeup to clothing choices, what kind of clothing, color, movement, texture, everything, and shoes. And I when Haley started talking about her, styling her clients, I'm like, you know what, that's perfect, because the number one question for seniors is, what should I wear? And as a high schooler, they go and buy their outfits. I'm like, oh my gosh, this is huge. Like I can go and help them buy the perfect outfits for their location, for the time of year, for everything. And so I always kind of update that senior guide for them and give them a lot of visuals and just ideas. And then I always encourage them to text me. I'm like, hey, when you're out shopping, shoot me a selfie of your outfit and I can let you know what I think, and we can kind of work together on it. So it's really fun.
Have you seen a difference as far as like what your clients present themselves with? Give us a little before you styled people and then after you gave a style guide. What does that look like?
Oh gosh, before you can you can tell they really tried, but sometimes people don't think about what it's going to look like in camera. They want to feel their best. And they want to wear, like I would have a lot of girls wear just like really kind of tight dresses, and they don't see on certain, it's hard to explain. When they see it in camera, they're like, oh, I don't like that. I don't feel comfortable. I don't feel confident in it, or I don't look confident in it. And so it's like, okay, well, instead of a tight dress, wear something loose and flowy where you can really have fun in, and you have more options to pose with than a skinny little dress. There's not much, you can't really sit in it, you can't squat in it, you can't do fun walking poses with it. So it just kind of limits the session depending on what they're wearing. I mean, if a client comes in something, I'll make it work. But if I have the option to help them and to have kind of that better images at the end, then I will help them.
Yes, for sure. Another question that I have for you, and a lot of these are just like client-based, but I'm just curious because I don't do senior photography. But do you do one session with the senior, or do you package it to where you see them multiple times throughout their senior year? How does that work for you?
It depends. So right now, I have 2 different packages. I have a 2-hour session that has 4 outfits and 2 locations. And that's usually all a senior will do. Sometimes a senior will book the 1-hour package with 1 location and 2 outfits. That way, if they want to do a 1 hour in the summer and a 1 hour in the spring, they totally can. So it just really depends on the senior. I've had seniors ask for mini sessions, which I don't do, but I'm about to do because the baby is coming.
Yes.
So once the baby comes, there's going to be some changes.
Oh, I'm sure. This is so funny. Like, I don't know if people just need like a motherhood tip or what, but in my podcast with Emily, we also talked about when babies come, things change. And no, she's not pregnant, but she was saying when the day comes, it's going to change some things. And I'm like, yeah, it is. I have 2 kids.
Yes.
It changes things. But I also have never had a photography business outside of motherhood. So for me, I don't know how to navigate that change for you. I just know I've built mine around being a mom. So anyway, I wanted to talk about what you said about a mini session. And here's the stipulation I think a lot of people don't understand. They think that by a mini session, they're looking for the majority of the time, a shorter amount of time and a cheaper cost option, typically. And I get this all the time. I think everybody gets this question, whether it's engagement sessions or senior sessions or family or whatever. We all get asked for a mini session. And I don't think people, they're viewing it as a client and not as the person doing it, because it's still the same drive to the same location. It's the same amount of time, pretty much editing, maybe cut down a little bit. You're still calling images. You're still editing images. There's really not a whole lot that changes for us because it's still the same amount of work, even if it's like a 5-10 minute session. You know what I mean? Like, so the time's a little bit cut down, but as far as like a price, and I say this for photographers, don't offer something that's like super dirt cheap where you're not being compensated, because honestly, like, there's really not a whole lot of difference for you. It's just for the client at the end of the day, so.
Exactly. And I feel bad for many sessions, you really just don't get enough time. The 2-hour sessions is what I try to get my clients to do, because within the first 30 minutes, you're not comfortable. You haven't really gone to the groove. You're not used to just being in front of the camera. It takes more than 30 minutes to get used to that. I'll have girls come in so nervous. They don't know what to expect. They don't like getting their pictures taken. They are just, they're freaked out. They're seniors. And then after that 30 minutes to an hour, they're just like striking poses. We're laughing. We're having a good time. So like, I would never normally offer mini sessions ever. But I think with the baby, this dang baby, I'm just going to have to, for at least for a little bit, because I don't even know what to expect.
Yeah, I don't think there's anything wrong with that at all, by any means, to do that. And I'm curious to know, how do you start breaking down their wall during that first 30 minutes? Like, where does the shift happen? Does that happen through they just get comfortable? Does that happen through your interaction with them? I mean, what do you think eventually makes them pull out some confidence?
I think it's just kind of getting used to the way I shoot and kind of knowing what to expect on just kind of the poses. And I just ask them questions. I'm talking to them. sometimes if I remember my little music thing, I'll play music, which I always forget it. But I just act like a friend. I'm like, you don't have to worry about anything. We're just going to have fun. Like, you can't do anything wrong. Like, everything you do is perfect. Just don't just get out of your head. Don't worry about it. We're going to have fun. And so once they kind of like, whew, because when you go into something new, you're like, oh my gosh, even myself, when I was driving up to Oklahoma, I'm like, oh my gosh, what am I getting myself into? I don't know anybody. Like, this is scary. But once you get there and you start meeting people and kind of getting used to what's going on, the girls just kind of, those walls come down and they start having fun, especially if their mom's with them or they have a friend with them. Then it becomes really fun because then the moms, and I kind of bring them into the session, kind of use them like, walk this way, look at mom, give her a big smile, or just silly stuff like that, and it kind of makes them relax.
You moved on perfectly to my next question, and that was, do they bring tag-alongs? Do you have parents that come? Because I will be honest, one of the reasons I hated senior photography was for the helicopter moms who thought they were going to pose their kid the whole session. So tell me about that.
I really don't have a problem with parents. Maybe one every 50, I would say. And it's mostly the boy moms. But my girl moms are very good. They just want their daughter to have fun. And it's a big thing. When the moms think that they're going to bring props, that's when it becomes a problem, because they start focusing on the props than the senior. So right off the bat in my guide, I tell them, these are the types of props you should use and you should bring. And only bring 1 or 2 or maybe 3 max, but don't bring all of them. And so once the day gets going, the mom kind of sees the flow of things, and she'll just kind of step back and watch and kind of do her thing and just kind of take pictures behind the scenes, which I don't mind. So, but the boy moms, man, I don't know why boy moms, they just love to be right next to me and telling their son to smile and why he's not smiling. I'm like, okay, mom, if you take a couple of feet back, he might smile for me, because I'm talking to him and I'm trying to get the smiles out of him. And, the boy's already mad that he's there. So having his mom right there next to him is just going to make him even more mad. So,
note to self for my son's senior pictures. Stand back away from the photographer, which a lot of people are like, you're his mom and you're a photographer. Why aren't you going to take them? Oh no. Like, I totally believe in hiring out our photography to other photographers, because it is not enjoyable to photograph your own kids. Like, you're asking for an argument. You're asking for a bad time. And I may so much as go to drop him off and say, see you later. I'll be back at sunset.
There you go.
Because I mean, I'm hoping, like, now that we're warming him up to the camera, by the time he needs pictures for senior high school, whatever the case may be,
he'll be a pro.
That he'll be a pro, and they'll be like, holy crap, you should be a model. I'm just kidding. Anyway, I'm trying to get my kid not to hate pictures like his father, because good God, my husband hates pictures.
Oh, so does mine. He hates them so much.
The irony of being married to a photographer is you get one session every 10 years. Like, for real.
Yeah. I told mine, I'm like, hey, I'm doing maternity session. You can go if you want. You don't have to. But I'm taking them.
Hilarious. Oh my gosh, that's hilarious. Well, I love that. Yeah, that's one thing too. I really encourage, I love maternity sessions. I don't know a whole lot of people that just do maternity sessions alone. It's usually like maternity, newborn, that kind of thing. Mm-hmm. But I love me some maternity sessions, and I love them even when the mom's just there, because you really can get creative on those poses. And I think a lot of people are discouraged, like, oh, well, if he's not going to come, then I don't even need to go. But look at our little rant we got off on senior photography, and we went all the way through life. Anyway.
Yeah.
So I am curious to know, what goals do you have for yourself in the photography industry? Do you have any? Do you know, is there a goal you're working towards business-wise in the next 5, 10, 15 years?
Oh, man. I feel like this past year, I kind of really met a lot of goals, and I haven't kind of even thought about in the future, but I think it's just kind of really focusing on seniors and just doing that. Because I do weddings on the side. I'll take 10 max a year, which is kind of a lot. But because I'm about to enter a whole new chapter. So I think just not knowing what's going to come when she comes, the baby, is scary. And so I think once I kind of get a hold on motherhood, then I'm really going to have to just focus on one thing and go with it. And it's going to be my seniors. My seniors will always win.
Yeah, and they should. I mean, you're phenomenal. Like I say, I follow your social media. I love your Instagram.
Oh.
I mean, you just shine. And I've already told you, like, in my mind, I associate you with senior photography. And so that's usually my biggest tip for people is pick the thing you love the most, go with it, really just like develop yourself in it. Like if you want to be known for senior photography, then you need to be showing 90% of senior photography all on your social media, your marketing, and that kind of thing. How do you, or what's the best avenue that you have for marketing to seniors? Is it word of mouth from just the girls in the school? Have they started, is that how you get clients, or are you getting the majority of yours online? Like, what does that look like for you?
So the top two is word of mouth. I do senior models every year, and those I take 1 to 2 per high school in our area, and it's their word of mouth and them showing their pictures. And then Instagram. These girls are not on Facebook anymore. I had my whole group over, and we were talking, and I was like, okay, I'm going to make a Facebook page for our group session coming up. And they all just kind of looked at me like, what? Did I say something? They're like, we're not on Facebook. I'm like, what? Like, I think maybe it was last year's group. I'm like, y'all aren't on Facebook. Like, things change so fast with the younger generations, which makes me feel so old, but they're not on Facebook anymore. It's just Instagram. It's Snapchat. That's all they're doing on Twitter. And so you have to, if you're going to market to seniors, you have to stick with where the seniors are, and that's social media and not Facebook anymore. The parents are on Facebook, but not the seniors.
Right. Do you find that that's difficult to keep up with?
Not really. It was hard to start. It was really hard. Word of mouth came first. And then once I got a core group of girls and clients, their friends would start following me. And every so often I'll go and feel creepy and I'll type in high school names on Instagram and kind of just go through and like pictures, and that kind of brings them to me. Kind of in a slow season I'll do that, but really it's each year that I have a senior model team, their friends will kind of start the bandwagon.
That is so neat. I love that. And one thing too is I think depending on what kind of photography you're trying to do, or whoever your client is, you really got to get inside of their head, their lifestyle, and you need to ask yourself, okay, where are these people hanging out? Because I'll still be honest, my people are on Facebook. It's my families, it's my moms. And as I don't know if it's always going to be that way. And I say that because as I get older, I will then start looking for the younger moms with the toddlers and the younger kids. And that's going to be the new generation. And like my sisters, and they are on Snapchat. I don't even have a Snapchat. Like, I hope something else cool comes along between now and then, because I don't want to use Snapchat. And Instagram, I mean, there is a lot going on Instagram. I feel like right now, the more established people have been the last couple of years, the better they're getting that engagement. They're booking those clients. I'll be honest, I've seen like an up and down roller coaster ride as far as my Instagram goes. And I don't know why. I don't know if that's
Instagram or Instagram as a business and a photographer is hard, and it changes all the time. And when it comes, I don't even want to get into that, whatever it's called,
just
how everything keeps, yes. Oh my gosh. That's one thing that I'll tell people, don't get sucked into Instagram. Don't look at the followers. Don't look at other people because they might have their own story. They might be fine followers. Like that's not everything. Just focus on your clients and that is it. You're not trying to get other photographers to follow you because that's not going to bring you clients. Focus on your clients and connect with them and hopefully they will come.
That's a good tip. Yeah. I've been thinking about that too here recently. Maybe I need to just start following more clients and following their friends list and stuff rather than, and not in a creepy way where I'm going to go follow 20,000 people, but just finding ones that, okay, wow, they do outsource their photography. These are people who enjoy taking pictures and, these are families that I would like to photograph and I may, start following them. And I think that's a huge tip because I think there's two different levels of popularity on Instagram. One is with people who will hire you and the other is with people in your industry. While I value both because I'm able to market to both people just because I've got multiple streams, of different things that I do in my business, all tied to photography, but I do help, up and coming photographers. That helps. But as far as like locally, and I'm going to start, opening up for travel sessions across the US next year when my youngest goes to school. So see, motherhood has different phases and it new things. But then I really need to be focusing on finding people in those areas that I'm wanting to travel to and kind of just start building up circles from there. So I think that's an awesome social media tip. I think social media is a beast. I think you have to be dedicated.
Yeah.
And I also think that we should just only be focusing on whichever one is bringing us in clients, focus on that and quit trying to do it all because then you don't have time to focus on how you're treating your clients and photographing and all that stuff. So that's just like a little rant from me on social media, but I don't think it's everything. I still think at the end of the day, it goes back to word of mouth. So
yeah, it really does because the way you connect with your clients, the way you treat them and just the environment you give them, that's what they're going to talk about the most. Like I had so much fun with Heather. Like Brooke was so cool. You need to book her. That's where you're really going to get your clients, not from your pictures. Because if you're a mean, horrible person, no one's going to book you.
True. Do you encourage your clients to share things? So I know like, especially with senior photography, they're very much into social media, into Instagram stories. They love being in the moment. So how do you encourage them to market for you, or are they just genuinely doing this? Or they could
So when it comes to my senior models, I'm not strict. I'm not the type of photographer that says you have to post this, this, and this. You have to say this, this, and this. I'm just like, hey, you're my model. I'm going to take you on shoots that kind of keep me inspired. Y'all get all the pictures. Do what you want with them. And the girls themselves are excited to share the pictures and go on fun photo shoots with me. And I kind of try to bring friends. So if one girl applies and she refers a friend, I'll take the friend because they're going to have more fun on that photo shoot with her friend. So, and right after shoots, even with my normal seniors, I do sneak peeks the day after on Facebook, and the girl and the mom in my Instagram stories, they take those pictures and they're so excited to have them that they automatically share them. Yeah. And I don't watermark anything anymore. It's just too much work. Yeah. And so it's more of the girl just being so excited to share her pictures and her experience that they always do.
I love that. Yeah, that's so awesome. And your seniors are clearly raving about you because I've seen it. I just like the little community circle. And I love that you talked about like it's a sisterhood for you. I just think that's so special. They obviously can feel that because at the end of the day, you got to find something that's going to help you stand out from all the other senior photographers, because I'm sure there is competition in your area.
There are a ton.
Yeah. And so you just have to find a lot of times it comes down to that relationship and how you're treating your
Mhm.
clients. And if they're having the best time of their life, of course they're going to go tell their friends. And also at that age, everybody wants to do things like the same, or you know what I mean? And so
Yeah.
it's a lot of influence going on. And I think you do an awesome job of being that influencer. And I think you're still going to find you're going to have a thriving business even after baby comes. It's just
Fingers
learning.
are crossed.
You just have to learn to balance your time, and I think it'll be awesome. And so I don't
Yeah.
think really a whole lot has to change, except either just cutting back a little bit, either taking on less
Mhm.
clients, or like you said, maybe just offering a new mini session until you get into the flow of things too. So yeah, you planned your baby at the perfect time though, because you'll get to cuddle up during the winter months. It's not like in
Right?
summer where you're like trying to take on as many clients as you can. So that was good.
Yeah. I'm glad she's coming at the end of November, because March, April, May, it's scary. It's so busy.
Oh,
So it'll be a new experience.
it will be, but it'll be so awesome. Well, I am so glad that you took time out of your day to come on the podcast. You gave some
Of
amazing
course.
tips.
Oh,
And
thank
I'm
you.
excited for up and coming photographers to be able to take some tips and tricks away from what we talked about today, because you gave a lot of gold nuggets. And so thank you so much for coming on the show.
Oh, thank you for having me.
You're welcome.